This is your skint week, yeah?
Yeah.
But what are you paying up? What are you buying this week?
My hair.
How much is that?
400.
What else?
My nails.
How much?
40.
And what else?
My Botox, my jawline.
How much is that?
400.
Okay. And this is your skin week.
Bestie, I'm afraid to tell you this, but women in medicine make less than men. This is a fact, we know this, but it's even worse than you think. According to the Doximity 2020 Physician Compensation Report, there are, what? No medical specialties in which women earned the same or more than men? And listen to the rest of the video before you comment something embarrassing. If you're thinking, well, women work less anyways, they always leave early to pick up their kids from daycare. Or if you're thinking, well, most women physicians are younger rather than older, so they just have less experience, that's why they're paid less. This study already controlled for work hours and years of experience. Behold, the specialties with the largest wage gaps between men and women. Very interesting to see OBGYN right here. And here are the specialties with the smallest wage gaps, but remember, there were no specialties in which women made even the same as men. Now you know, share this with that one friend, send it to your group chat, or tag your friend in the comments.
Guys, I am so sick of hearing these women talk about the wage gap as if it's a thing that actually exists. Gentlemen, on today's show, we're going to be talking a little bit about the wage gap, and we're actually going to be taking a look at that study that woman mentioned in that original TikTok, because you might watch that TikTok and think to yourself, wow, that sounds pretty logically infallible. But guess what, guys? It has been illegal since 1984, at least in America, I believe, to pay people a different amount on the basis of gender. But, you know, we're actually going to be pulling up the methodology of that particular study that she just mentioned later in today's video and taking a look at why that individual is a complete clown. But what is going on, guys? It is Taylor the Fiend back again with another response video. And on today's show, guys, like I already said, we're going to be taking a look at some at those studies, and we're also going to be taking a look at some TikToks that you gentlemen have sent into the show. So we're actually going to start with those TikToks today. So without further ado, guys, let's jump into some of those.
That means the men's World Cup earned 54 times what the women's World Cup earned. The reason for that, again, is because people aren't as interested in women playing soccer as men playing soccer, not because they are sexist, but because women are not as good at soccer as men. The women's World Cup national team lost 5-2 to an under-15 boys club from Dallas a few years ago. The Australian women's national team lost 7-0 to an under-15 boys team in Australia. People say, oh, those were just scrimmages. Okay, imagine the men's World Cup team losing to an under-14 boys team. Is that a thing that would happen unless they actually threw the game? Of course not. Men and women are different. Pretending that men and women are not different ends in stupidities like the idea that women and men have to be the same for performing absolutely differently on the playing field. But this is how you end up with this piece from Emily Ryall saying, in a soccer match last year, a ball tumbled aimlessly into the penalty area, almost like a confused...
You know, guys, there's this YouTuber that I used to watch, absolutely fantastic content creator, and my videos are actually quite inspired by his. I used to really love watching his stuff. His name was Easy Swish Sniper. He's no longer on YouTube. We don't really know where he's gone. I think someone made like a second account of him, but I don't think it's actually him. Who knows though? But you know, he one of his original videos that really popped off, guys, is he was talking about the NBA and the WNBA, and he was making the point that the NBA made significantly more money compared to the WNBA because the WNBA was trash. The girls, like that, guys, they couldn't play the game that well. Okay, it is what it is, right? And the girls were out there complaining like, oh, you know, our hotel lodging sucked, or, you know, it had a bug in it or whatever. It's like, you aren't as talented, okay? Like, you're not going to earn as much money if you're not as talented at the position. Like, wow, yeah, crazy stuff.
If women get paid less than men, why wouldn't businesses only hire women?
You don't understand. It's because they hate women so much. Why are we still pretending that women make less for the same job as men do? Because of misogyny. Now, yes, the national average is higher for men than versus women, but that's because men typically choose higher paying career paths, are more aggressive or more competitive when it comes to getting raises. And women, on average, tend to choose lower paying jobs or jobs that they enjoy more that tend to pay less.
And you know what, guys? Like, I was trying to explain to someone the other day, which I don't even know why the hell I try and bother explaining this stuff sometimes, okay? But if you, for example, okay, let's just say a company is hiring 10 engineers, right? And you get 100 people apply. Okay, chances are the people that apply, you're going to have significantly less women than men. So what that means is, let's just say you have, you have 10 women who apply and you have 90 men who apply out of that 100, for which there are only 10 positions available. Chances are those 10 positions are going to predominantly be filled by men. Not even necessarily because the men are any better at the role. It's because there are more men to select from, so the odds of those men being of higher caliber than a given woman is higher. And these people just can't understand basic math, gentlemen, where if you've got tons of men applying for something and only a small amount of women applying for something, the career is going to be dominated by men. And you know what? They're going to be dominated by men who are quite good at the job because there's a lot of men to choose from. Okay, we're actually going to be getting into that later today.
I know, because I'm one of them. I want to be an editor. I'm never going to make as much as an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer. Or even a plumber. And when it comes to working the same job, women just aren't as competitive. They also tend to work fewer hours, and they take a lot more time off for kids. That's going to lead to less experience and so less pay raises. Also, to clarify, I'm not attacking this creator. I agree with her. I was just making a joke. Be more competitive. Choose a higher paying job field. And for the love of all that is good, stop complaining.
What's one thing that you can say that'll trigger an entire generation? I'll go first.
Want to close the wage gap? Change your major from feminist dance teacher to electrical engineering.
Well, that's a little bit radical, don't you think? Like, the funny thing is, guys, is that universities are a scam. Okay, they absolutely are. The sociological sciences, social sciences, whatever, disgusting. Guys, they are absolutely disgusting. These things are literally indoctrination camps, okay? I'm so sick of hearing people like, oh yeah, I'm so educated. You're not educated, you got scammed. Okay, let's call it for what it is. All these girls going around here like, yeah, I'm educated. You're educated in nothing, man.
Girls be like, I'm such a strong and independent woman. Then pay for dinner.
Wait a second. Anti-feminist men be like, I am Heman, alpha male. I have 10 times the mental and physical power of any woman and superior control over my emotions, and that is why women deserve to be paid 2/3 or less of what I make. I deserve to have financial control over every heterosexual relationship I am in.
No guy says this, by the way. You know what I mean? Like, no, you see, the first TikTok of the men, they were using a very common example of what women say, which is that I'm strong and independent, yet I still expect you to pay for a date. I don't know any guy who says this kind of crap. Like, I genuinely don't, guys. Like, yeah, you'll get people who will say that, women are more emotional, but really, like, no man talks like this. You see? Like, this is what they do when they have no logical arguments, guys, is they just rattle off bullcrap that nobody even says,
But if women want to be treated as human, she must be willing to pay for everything and also be brutalized.
Nobody says that. Right? This is why nobody takes you seriously, is because you're genuinely just not listening. And that's totally fine if you want to not listen, but people are going to continue to treat you as if you don't listen, because you're not listening. Right? Like, let's just even look at this sentence, okay? But if women want to be treated as human, no. If women want to be treated as equal, so let's change this, first of all, because, guys, these girls are going on about equality, right? But then they hate it when they're treated equal. Part of being treated equal is that you don't get things handed to you for free on the basis of gender. I don't know. She must be willing to pay for everything. No guy says that as well. Like, this is equality. We're going 50-50 in a relationship. Hey, maybe you pay for this date, I'll pay for the next one. Nobody says that women have to pay for everything. You see what I'm getting at, guys? It's like, these girls just don't pay attention. They just don't listen. Even the guys saying that, if you want things to be more equal, hey, how about you pay for dinner? Doesn't mean that you have to pay for everything. Like, guys aren't even making... See, this is, man, like, you already know that this person is just going to say some nonsensical bullcrap, but like you have to make sure first, and then you're like, you know what? Why did I even give this individual the chance? And nobody says the end bit right there. Like, that's just the nail in the coffin right there. It's like, I don't know anybody who says that. I genuinely don't. In fact, the opposite. I know a lot of people who really don't like this at all, and don't like men who do this kind of crap. Like, girls will always be like, oh, you know, men need to stop the locker room talk and shut down those offensive jokes. But let me tell you something, guys. If a man enacts those jokes, which that's, for example, that's what they are, a joke, other men don't like them. You know what I mean? Like, dudes who do this sort of crap to girls, when they go to prison, they have a much rougher time because the dudes don't like them. But again, you know, just absolutely no points to be made right here.
Also, y'all completely misunderstand the concept of a date. Clearly. But, yeah, still, you know, advocate to close the racial and gender wage gap if you'd like to be treated to dinner sometimes. You know?
Yeah, so absolutely disgusting, guys. We're back on the, you know, the gender pay gap thing here, which we're going to be jumping into, like I said, momentarily. So I might actually take a moment to pull these up, and we're going to have a look at this particular article, which kicks us off. So this will lead into the, if you remember the TikTok at the beginning of the video, guys, this is going to lead into the study that we're going to be talking about. So here it says, the C word is widening the gender pay gap among US doctors. And of course, it's written by a woman named Erin Spencer Syram. I don't know how to say that. I cover the intersection of gender and politics. So we're, you know, we're just instantly back at the useless degrees. Let's take a look. Study after study is pointing to a gendered impact throughout American industries as the C19 P word carries on. Women are disproportionately represented in sectors that are expected to decline the most due to C19. Across the board, women are being forced out of the workplace in record numbers, and there's no telling of when they'll return. In the tech industry, women are more likely to be laid off and are bearing a greater childcare burden than men. Wow, you don't say that. The people who have the children have a greater childcare burden. Wait, that's wild, actually. That's a fantastic point. Yeah, that makes 100% sense, actually. Women in science are coping with closed labs and losing research time to childcare. Yeah, that's what happens when you grow a child for 9 months. Like, I don't know, like, maybe are these people, like, lacking education early on? Like, I don't know about you guys, but I certainly had some classes earlier in my life where this was explained to us, but maybe that was missing. Today, a new study put a spotlight on the healthcare industry, more specifically on the physicians who have been on the front lines of the P word since it reached the US. It turns out that while saving lives isn't a gendered business, paychecks for those doing the work appear to be trending along gendered lines. After a year of seeing the gender pay gap narrow, a new study shows that in 2020, a year where physicians were needed the most, the pay gap widened once again. And guys, we're actually going to be jumping into this this quote-unquote pay gap here, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of finagling so you guys can kind of see what this says here. So we are on the study, but we're going to be looking at the methodology, okay? Doximity's study is drawn from self-reported compensation surveys in 2019 and 2020 by approximately 44,000 full-time licensed US physicians who practice at least 40 hours a week. So this survey, right off the bat, let's just call it for what it is. It is a survey on self-reported data. So you haven't taken the actual numbers. First of all, you have not taken the actual numbers that come from the company paychecks. You have taken self-reported earnings. Okay, that's the first thing. Let's continue to read. Responses were mapped across metropolitan statistical areas, and the top 50 were ranked by number of respondents in the data. To control for differences in speciality, geography, and other provider-specific factors that might influence spending, we estimated a multivariate regression with the fixed effects for provider specialty and MSA. MSA is referring to the metropolitan statistical areas that they just said. We also controlled for how long each provider has practiced medicine and their self-reported average hours per week. So again, right, these are individuals who are reporting their own hours for the survey. They are reporting the amount that they earned for the survey, and also you're not, see, this is the thing that that's really stupidly difficult to explain to these people. If you have significantly more men that are entering a field, the men are going to be more efficient at the position, right? You might have, let's just say, like, I don't know how many people that these, for example, let's just say you have like 3 surgeries to do in a day. I don't know, okay? You're in a field like this and you have 3 surgeries to do in a day. and you have a lot more men that have applied for this position, chances are the men who are in the position are going to be a lot more efficient at the job than the women are. Not necessarily because the women, are necessarily worse, but because there's more men to choose from, so that the men that are actually in the position are simply better at the task. You see what I'm saying here, guys? They don't seem to control for that, right? But yeah, guys, so this study right here, again, fully self-reported, not statistics that are actually taken directly from the company. That's first of all. Second of all, they don't talk about the fact that the men are typically going to be a lot more efficient. Okay, they say that they control for speciality. Okay, but that doesn't mean anything when the men can be significantly more efficient at the position, because the majority of people who enter as doctors are men. Right? Absolutely ridiculous. You see, this is the kind of crap, guys, where it just gets so absolutely disgusting because these girls still think that the gender pay gap exists. It has literally been illegal since 1984 in America, or 1983. Someone correct me in the comments on that. To pay different on the basis of genders. But let's take a look at this study right here from a Harvard. Okay, let me see if I can pull up the right down screen. I don't think I can. Oh, here we go. Harvard study, gender wage gap explained entirely by work choices of men and women. Wow, would you look at that, guys? Let's take a look. The gender wage gap is as real as unicorns and has been killed more times than Michael Myers. This was published in 2018 by a man named John Phelan. Gender pay gap is worse than thought. Study shows women actually earn half the income of men. NBC announced recently in reference to a report titled Still a Man's Labor Market by the Washington-based Institute for Women's Policy Research, which found that women's income was 51% less than men's earnings. The gender pay gap isn't what you think it is, the article goes on. What do you think when you hear the phrase gender pay gap? Perhaps you think of a man and a woman who work exactly the same job at exactly the same place, but he gets paid more than she does. This sort of discrimination has been illegal in the United States since the passage of the Equal Pay Act in 1963. That's my bad. So it is 1963, not 64. But that is not what is generally meant by the phrase gender wage gap. Instead, the commonly reported figure that a woman earns 80 cents for every dollar earned by a man is derived by taking the total annual earnings of men in the American economy in a given year and dividing that by the number of male workers. This gives you the average annual earnings of the American man. Then you do the same thing for women. The average annual women's earnings come in at about 80% of the average annual man's earnings, and presto, you have a gender wage gap. So that's what they're doing, guys. They're annualizing salaries and then they're dividing it by the men count, for example. Okay, so what you're doing is you're taking annualized salaries, and of course they're going to be different because women, for one, take more time off of work by virtue of the fact that they can have children. And that's not even talking about any other factor at all. That's it, honestly. It isn't much above a back of a cigarette box stuff. This methodology takes no account whatsoever of a whole host of factors that might explain this discrepancy. It ignores the fact that according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, in 2017, men worked on average 8.05 hours in the average day compared to 7.24 hours worked for women. Wow, would you look at... That is such an insane difference, and that's only in a day, by the way. Like, if you consider how much that actually works out to be, guys, that is an insane difference, right? True, women are more likely to be raising children, taking care of elderly family members, or doing housework, leaving them with fewer hours in the day for paid employment. But this does not alter the essential fact that people working fewer hours on average can be expected to earn lower incomes on average. Not exactly apples to apples, and there are differences in the type of work men and women do, which bears on their earnings. BLS data shows that in 2017, 94% of child day care services workers were female, the highest percentage of any category, and that the mean annual wage of childcare workers was $23,000. By contrast, just 2.9% of workers in logging were women, the lowest share of any category, and the mean annual wage there was $42,000. Guys, this is so funny, right? because you'll hear girls complain endlessly about the wage gap, but and you know, oh, women deserve to be in higher positions and all this stuff. But the fact of the matter is that girls are not choosing these high-paid positions. I watched a Casual Bachelor video earlier today, guys. Shout out to Casual Bachelor. He makes some great content. I believe he's from New Zealand. Don't quote me on that, but a fantastic content creator, guys. Go and check him out. He did a video, I think it was yesterday or the day before, where in Australia. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. All right. In Australia, they're pushing to have 30% mandatory amount of women in like CEO positions, for example. Like, so basically they're trying to force workplaces to have a 30% representation of women in the workforce, in these positions, right? And the thing that you'll notice, guys, is they always seem to be pushing for this quote-unquote equality in the high-paying positions. You never hear about these girls complain like, you know what? There aren't enough women plumbers, which, hey, fair enough. Like, some plumbers can earn some decent money. That's not an easy job, man. But, you know, they never talk about the difficult jobs, right? They're always like, oh, we want women to be in CEO positions. I'm sorry, but what exactly is stopping, and this is the point that Casual Bachelor made in his video, what's stopping the girls from going out here and, you know, making their own company, you know, and just dominating the world? Like, nobody's stopping you from making your own company, okay? No, literally nobody is stopping these girls. It doesn't, guys, it does not stop you. And there's not some form when you're turning yourself into a company, right? There's not some form where you go like, are you a man or a woman? And then if you tick the woman box, they just refuse you, you know? But these girls, guys, you see, they want to get into these positions without actually doing the work. And the thing that we talked about on earlier in today's video, guys, with that one particular study that was brought up, those were self-reported numbers, guys. Self-reported, and they did not actually account for the fact that men might be more efficient in those positions. Yeah, you can adjust for the speciality, but the fact of the matter is that you're likely going to have men that are better at the job because more men apply for the job to begin with. Like, how about we just use some common sense? But these girls, guys, they get on TikTok, and she even took the moment. We're actually going to go back and play that clip again, because she actually goes, you know, before you say anything, don't embarrass yourself. Guys, we're actually going to take a look at this clip again. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Women earned the same or more than men. And listen to the rest of the video before you comment something embarrassing.
How about you read the methodology correctly before you comment something embarrassing on TikTok? Okay, that's the funny thing, guys. It's like these girls, they never seem to read, right? Like, they'll be like, oh yeah, take a look at this study. And then, like, if you pull up this study yourself, this study is drawn from self-reported compensation surveys. So it's not drawn from actual company statistics, first of all. And they say that they control for, let's have a look, control for how long each provider has practiced medicine and their self-reported average hours per week. They don't control for the fact that, hey, maybe the dudes are better at the job. Maybe they're more efficient at the job. Maybe they manage to do more surgeries or you know, whatever the case may be. Maybe they actually perform their job better and that's why they get paid more. No, none of that, right? But we look at the study and we just read the word controlled for. And then we look at hours. See, this is the frustrating part, guys, is these people just genuinely can't read, man. It's so crazy to see. But let's continue on, because I think I had a couple of things more to show you guys. It's just to wrap up today's episode. This episode wasn't actually supposed to be about the gender pay gap, guys, but I thought, you know, why the hell not? Let's just talk about some of this stuff. So have I got the wrong screen again? No, okay. The real reasons behind the gender pay gap. The gender pay gap continues to be a regular staple of the news agenda. Yeah, because it sells, right? It's so easy to sell these girls the idea that they're oppressed because they all want to believe it. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the reason why this stuff performs so well, guys, is because everyone wants to believe that they have it so difficult, whether or not they do or not. You know what I mean? Like, irregardless of whether or not people actually have it difficult, they just want to hear that things are so hard for them, men. And, you know, the fact of the matter is that things actually might be hard for a specific group of people. Okay, but in this case, it's just not true. You know? Like, if I say marriage is difficult for men, yeah, it actually is difficult for men. But these guys are out here like, we get paid less. No, you don't. It's literally illegal. But, you know, go off, I guess, queens, quote unquote. And I pull up the wrong damn screen once again. However, research has shown that there are 4 key reasons why the gender pay gap exists, and for 3 out of the 4, there is a relatively straightforward solution: get better at flexible and part-time working. Here we explore what the research is telling us and what employers are keen to narrow their gap can do about it. Reason number 1, there are more men in senior roles than women. It is certainly true that there are more senior men than women in the workplace as a whole, and as senior people tend to be paid more than junior people, this has a negative effect on the gender pay gap. However, that doesn't mean that the disparity cannot be tackled. At the heart of the problem is an assumption that senior jobs naturally require long hours and constant availability, and so cannot be done without flexibility or part-time. This is largely due to the 1950s pattern of men going out to work and women being at home to support them, enabling men to focus on work to the exclusion of everything else in life. And it has been exacerbated in many sectors by globalization and always-on technology, which have extended the working day to 10 or 12 hours. Solution, blah, blah, blah. Reason number 2, caring responsibilities and part-time roles are shared unequally. Yeah, it's almost like if you have the child for 9 months, that puts you at a deficit. Like, reason number 3, women choose to work in low-paid roles and sectors. Solution, open up all sectors to part-time and flexible working. Okay, this article is a little bit of a clown world one, because the solution is not to open up. The sectors are open. The sectors are open to these girls, man. These girls can go out here, they could choose these positions, but guess what, guys? They just don't. They don't choose the positions, right? There are literally more scholarships that exist for women than for men, than some of these fields, but nobody seems to want to talk about that fact, right? Like, nobody seems to bring up the fact that these girls are literally incentivized more than men to join these positions, okay? But here's the thing, men join those positions more. It is what it is. Right, and people always say like, oh, men and women don't choose different things. Guys, they absolutely do. Okay, if you guys have ever been in a university classroom, if you go to an engineering class, go to an IT class, and get back to me on the amount of women that are in that particular class. I remember doing an IT class when I was younger, guys, and this was like when I was younger, and there was literally one. So these were like elective classes at this point in time, right? And it was an IT class, and there was literally one woman in the class, literally one, like out of the entire class, guys. And these were elective things, so girls were allowed to join the class. In fact, the teachers were happier when because typically there'd only be 1 or 0 girls in the class. Men and women choose different things, guys. And the idea that they absolutely don't is just totally ridiculous. Men and women typically have different interests, and that manifests itself in the working world and in the quote-unquote gender pay gap. But these people can't seem to understand that. Now, guys, I think I have one more thing for us to go over here today. So let's see if I have this particular screen pulled up, because from memory, this was an awful one. But we might be wrapping up today's show with a dating profile. So here we have a woman, guys. As you can see, taking a selfie in the bathroom, long fingernails and everything like that. She is 29 years of age, and it says, about me, BLM. It says go blank. I'm not sure what this says. Let's travel because I don't have the money. Man, some of these, this is from a subreddit called Where Are All the Good Men, guys. They have fantastic stuff over there, but so they sometimes insert funny stuff like this. But yeah, girls will say, let's travel. You think these girls are going to be, keen to be the ones paying for these travel trips, guys? As far as I'm concerned, these girls, they don't want to pay for the travel. They want dudes to come along and take them out to nice places and they not have to pay for it, guys. First thing, obviously, she's got to plug her Instagram, because why the hell not? Guys, women use dating apps, by the way, to literally collect more dudes. And get the dudes, get more attention, get more followers and stuff like that. A lot of these girls, they have no intention of having a relationship, having any sort of romantic engagement with a man. A lot of these girls will just literally use dating apps just to grow their Instagrams. Like, literally, that's what they'll do. Not into hookups, she says. Anime, concerts, spicy food. Taking my son on adventures sums up my life. So we have here a 29-year-old single mother, guys, who is not into hookups. I want more kids and to build a real future with someone special. Can we get a translation in the back? I think I gotta have there's a content creator called It's a Gundam, guys, and he has this guy that he calls like Stu, right? He's got like this character in the background called Stu. I was thinking of asking the artist for the show, guys, the Gecko Ninja, who does my character and stuff like that. I was thinking of asking him to whip up like a hellhound or something like that, so we could have a pet that we could talk to on the show, right? But this is ridiculous, man. This is ridiculous. 29-year-old single mother looking for a man to build a future with. Yeah, the translation is there, guys, is that she's looking for some money. You think she really cares about the dude that she's going to end up with? Guys, these girls couldn't give a crap, man. Couldn't care less. That's why I always, like, you know, a lot of dudes will get into relationships with girls like this, and they won't realize that the girls actually don't care about them. They'll think, you know, oh, finally, all my hard work is paying off. I finally got a girl. Meanwhile, it's a single mother who's, you know, who just needs a dude for their money, and they don't actually care about the dude that they end up with, and they end up using the guy, cheating on him, whatever, because that guy essentially just becomes a crutch for her life that she's already ruined beforehand. I wish I could word it another way, guys, but you know, these girls oftentimes just don't care about the men that they end up with. They're just using them because that's what's necessary in that point of their life. But let's continue on with this girl's dating profile, because it actually does go on quite far down. And I'm pretty sure it gets funnier. So let's take a look if I can find the right damn thing, which I can't. There it is. All right, let's have a look. I love, oh goodness, man. I want more kids and to build a real future with someone. In other words, she needs some money. Hopefully funny too. I love God, my family, music, and I love just living life to the fullest. Okay, whenever someone tries to bring, like, I'm not going to talk about this too much, guys. It's a very divisive issue here. Whenever these girls bring up religion, guys, I find it disgusting. I really do, because the thing is, these, like, where's your husband? You know, you had a child, like, assumedly out of wedlock, you're a single mother, and now you want to get right with God. That is so disgusting. Like, these people just think that they can use faith as like a crutch to make themselves look better. I don't like that. I really don't. I love God, my family, music, and I love just living life to the fullest. Anytime a girl says that, guys, you already know, man. You already know what that means. My basics. She is 5'8". She is physically active, apparently. She is in college. She drinks frequently. She smokes never. She is looking for a relationship. Crazy that. She has kids and she wants more. She is Leo, as if anyone gives a crap about that. She's liberal, of course, and she is Catholic. Very interesting how we have a Catholic single mother here, guys, which, you know, you would think would be mutually exclusive, but apparently not. And this is, you know, some photos of her, guys, in... I tell you what, one of the biggest red flags, guys, is people who have messy rooms, guys. Like, I made a video a little while ago, gentlemen, about, like, it's so important to have a clean room, guys. Like, it does so much for your mental health, and your room is oftentimes an extension of where you're at. These girls who have these messy rooms, guys, their lives are a mess. Like, really, it absolutely is. Like, you know, boys, clean your room. It's really good for you, honestly. Let's continue. 2 truths and a lie. I like going to church. Right, I'm a big fan on Starbucks. I've been in a mosh pit. Okay, very interesting. And here we have a photo, you know, with a kid who we've censored out. But guys, I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, where's your partner? Where's your boyfriend? Where's your husband? None of that. And we have just, you know, the most embarrassing about section in a dating profile. Guys, I think we've gone through enough today. We're going to be leaving today's episode there. As always, make sure you leave your thoughts and your comments to some of the things that we have covered today, gentlemen. And as always, make sure you take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Peace.